All right, today we're looking at multiplying rational expressions. This is a real important concept because we're going to be using it for the rest of the unit. So this is when you're going to do multiplying and dividing, really. Both of them work in a similar way, but we need to understand the concepts, how it works. Just the very, very basics. If I had a question like this, something simple like that, okay? The way that it's going to work is that we do multiplication just like we would fractions. So the numerators multiplied by each other, the denominators multiplied by each other. If you can, we're going to simplify and do factoring. But as we can see in a basic question like this, there is none. When we do this complicated one, we will see some. So hold on for that one. So really basic here, I do numerators multiplied, gives me 3. And then I'm going to do denominators, which will look like this. You would have to expand this out. I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to get 3 still as the numerator, and I'm going to get 10x squared plus 2x, and that's fine. If you wanted to leave it like this, that would actually be okay too, because then it's easier to see the NPVs. We have to do the NPVs. You have to do it for each of the original ones as well as whatever's in the final. Nothing changed in the final, so my NPV is going to be x cannot equal to 0 or x cannot equal to negative 1 over 5 from those two values. So the basic idea with multiplying is top times top, bottom times bottom, and then cancel out anything you can. Now, we're going to look at a little harder one with the division. It gets a little bit weird. Actually, let's move that over there. All right, so we have a division one over here. As most of you probably remember, when you divide, you have to invert and multiply. So I'm going to do that right away. I'm going to invert and multiply the entire thing. So x cubed over 16 times 8y over 5x. This was important because when we flipped it, now we're doing multiplication instead. Now what we want to do is factor. There is no factoring we can do. Now what we want to do is simplify. This is where you can simplify anything in the numerator and denominator that are like. So like if there's a common term or if there's a common number, multiple. The other thing is that we can cross divide, okay? The way that this works is that eventually they're going to become their own, like a united term like that. So if there's something common, in this case, they both have x, I'm going to cancel them out. So x cubed divided by x gives you x squared. 8 divided by 16 turns into 1 over 2, and that's it. So when we simplify that, you get x squared y over 2 times 10 is, sorry, 2 times 5 is 10. That's going to be our final answer. Now, the harder part about this is the NPVs. When we look at the final answer, there are no NPVs. We have to be really careful and look back at the original step, and we can see, okay, y can't equal to 0. But when we flipped it into this step right here, we notice that x was in the denominator as well. So x also has an NPV and can't equal 0. That is the step that most students will forget when there's division, is to look at that second step and look at its denominator to see an NPV. So that's the basics of that. Let's look at a little more complicated question. This one's good because as you notice right away, you see some stuff that can be factored. Always factor first if you can, because we're going to be able to see stuff we can cancel out. So let's factor this first one. It's going to be x minus 3, x plus 2. This is going to be, this is just x plus 4, nothing I can do there. The denominator, I can pull out an x plus 2. And the numerator going to be x plus 4, x minus 4. Okay, again, if you're having trouble with some factoring stuff, you got to go back and make sure you review it because you need to have the skill backhand. All right, so I'm going to cancel out anything that's the same. So x plus 2 and x plus 2 divide and cancel out. X plus 4 and x plus 4 divide and cancel out. Even though there's an x here and an x here, I can't cancel them out because it's not exactly the same. There's an x minus 3 and x minus 3. It needs to be an x minus 3 to cancel it out. So that's all my simplification. So now I'm going to write it out with multiplication. So x minus 3, x minus 4 over just x. That's it. If I wanted to, I could expand it, but really it doesn't matter. I don't need to. So that's my final answer. Now I have to do my NPVs. So obviously x can't equal 0 because I got that from right here. Now I'm going to look back at the earlier steps to try and see if there's anything here that x can't be. So I see right here, x can't equal -4. And then you can't tell when it's not factored. So when I look at the factored value, we have 0 over here, which I already had. And then you have -2 over there, which I'm then going to add. So those are my NPVs. This is my final answer, and I'm done.